I don't mind it. I don't mind the one referee. I've always said let's go back to one referee. Whether it slows the wrestling or stops the wrestling, we've always been whinging about the wrestling, even when there's two referees. So, look, I think it's a positive. I think it's a step forward for the game. I don't mind it at all. I'm not totally convinced on the rule change yet. I'd like to see how that works. I think it's going to take some time for both the players and the referees to get used to it. But the fact we're going back to one referee, giving one bloke the total control of the game, I like.
Yeah, I like the one referee as well. The only thing that does concern me, Aaron, and it's along the lines that Gal was talking about, is when you bring a new rule into a game, it has an effect that sometimes you don't see. Yeah. And without it being road tested, you know, when you make a change, there is a ripple effect. And sometimes you don't see what's coming, and by road testing it, you get an opportunity to say, OK, well, if we do bring that in, you know, we might have to do something here type thing.
And that's why you normally trial it extensively.
Well, exactly. So to introduce this third round in, sight unseen, I'm hopeful, I've got fingers crossed, that there aren't going to be too many detrimental effects coming out of it.
Freddie?
I think it's fantastic. I've got no negatives towards it all. I feel when I look at players as a coach, all you want them to be is not distracted. All our referees are at the moment is distracted. They've got so many people in their ears. They've got people coming at them. They've got players coming at them. I believe the only time someone outside the field will be able to talk to them will be during a gap in play. So once again, they won't be distracted. They'll get a feel of the game. The back end of the game, they're going to be fatigued, but everyone's going to be fatigued. And they're trying to put in rules where they've got options if big plays come up or big decisions come up. And Peter and that we were talking about that before, but I think this is a great rule. I also love the fact is they don't have to communicate to the players when they're about to get sin-binned or they've got one more chance. And, you know, that to me was just absolutely ridiculous. And all you're doing is playing into the hands of coaches who coach towards the vocabulary that referees use. Now it's just, you know what, if you don't get off the tackle and not doing a good job at it, the referee gets a feel of the game, and if you're doing it too much, you're sin-bin. We're not going to tell you we're going to sin-bin you. You're sin-bin. Seriously.
That's what officiating has lost, the natural understanding of the flow of the game. Yeah. That they're constrained by different vocabulary in the game that Freddie's talking about. Used to be a case where a referee could look at a tackle and just know from his years around the game how long to give a person and whether a penalty, and we just need to get back to that
judgment.
But you know, my question is, it's the one that I'm not convinced on the rule change, is does the referee have a discretion to blow a penalty at any stage? Like if it's 18-all, 2 minutes to go in a grand final, and someone's intensely holding the play the ball down, which would normally be 6 again, they've got the discretion to blow a penalty? Okay.
What about the fight, though, at the moment now? Jake mentioned the collective bargaining agreement between the refs and the NRL, just another issue that the NRL doesn't need. What are your thoughts on that?
Ridiculous. Ridiculous what the referees are trying to... where they're trying to put them. I think what's happened over the last 10 years, I think the referees have been sort of put on this level of power. And I could never understand why. I go and see the referees all the time and they do a fantastic job and they've got great morale amongst each other. But they've been given this power that should never have been handed to them. You know, like just the amount of money, the amount of investment that went into the referees. Referees, they love the game. They get out there and they ref and they do a great job. But outside that, that's where it had to stop. To have for them to be protesting and going to hold the game up, well, we'll get in a whole heap of other referees. It might take a while, but you've got to remember, before coming to the NRL, they were in a system where it was one referee. So their whole trade was learnt with one referee and learning the flow of a game through, you know, refereeing kids who are 7 and 8 years old to A grade through the whole process.
Every level bar the NRL and State of Origin is one referee. So they would have learned without a doubt coming through. So they should have the confidence they can do it.
It's just ridiculous to hold up the game.
And we love that.
Exactly.
I'm not a fan of it, Sterling. I'm not a fan. I just think there's a reason we went to 2 referees. I think it was because the game got too hard for one. So I'm not a fan. But look, I think ultimately the change, the team will benefit from the change. The one with the smartest coach, the smartest hooker, probably the smartest captain. And everyone thinks it's going to impact on Melbourne. I think it'll help Melbourne because they've got such a smart guy in control of the club and a smart guy dummy half. And I think you've got a smart dummy half. That's where it'll make a real difference.
So you like Canberra as well? Then.
Canberra, South. I think they're the sides that'll really benefit out of it.
Okay.
You look at the reason why, though, it's been brought in, right? And the wrestle has become such a hot talking point and huge role within the game. And it's a detraction for fans, right? Now, who's enjoyed it? All the jiu-jitsu moves, the rolling pins, etc.
Do you think it's going to stop the wrestle? Really?
Well,
do you think it will?
Well, with the ruling around the 6 again is where My concern is around the communication of it. That's where one referee keeping back the players 10, and then who's policing the ruck is where I have a slight concern over. I think we're going to have some serious teething problems.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's where touch judges are going to be called upon to help out a little bit more.
I actually like the idea of it. I'm not sort of adverse to one or two, and I even like the tackle restart for ruck infringements. I just think it's madness for them to bring it in after a week of talking about it for the mid-season in May.
2 games.
After,
Crazy.
it's going to be late. It's going to be late. It's going to be late May before it comes in. So it's mid-season without any consultation with the referees or without any training of it whatsoever. And I know people talk about it to get rid of the wrestle, which I think is great. I'm sick of the wrestle as well. I like free-flowing football. But the whole line that this was driven by the fans. So that survey was done in December. They had those results in December. If it was such a pressing issue for Peter V'landys and the Commission, then why the hell was it not brought in for the start of the season? It was brought in to save money, and it's only going to save $500,000. And I think it's a small amount of money to save for a massive disruption to the start of the season. They've done so well to get back for May 28, and I'm worried we're going to be talking for about 6 weeks about the refs.
So Peter V'landys has been very, very strong and been outstanding during this difficult period of time. Just on that point, has this been pushed through too hastily?
I honestly think it has
believe
been.
it has, yes.
I think, it's from a journo's point of view, it's been really interesting to see the way that Peter V'landys has taken control of the game. It's probably what the game needed in many respects for a lot of the problems that were going on off the field, and particularly during this crisis. But I think he has well and truly overstepped the mark by coming in and changing the rules of the game within a week.
But
tell me a chairman of the game that has ever done that.
Yeah, well, that's right. Guess what? He doesn't care. He does not care.
I know he doesn't care.
And that's it. That's the way he operates. I remember when he first took over the job, he said, strap yourselves in. Because he likes to shake things up. We've seen it in the racing industry. He doesn't care. And I get it. There's been no chairman before that's done it. But he's willing to live and die by his decision.
I'm loath to criticise him, Pete, because he's done such a good job. But I'm with Webby. I think this one's just one step too far. When you ignore the advice of all the players, all the coaches, even the administrators of the game, they tell you it won't. It's a dangerous step to take. You do it 2 games into a season. I think he's gone too far this time. But as I said, I'm loath to criticise him because everything's been.
Well,
he's been outstanding so far.
You're allowed to criticise and praise a bloke. You can actually do both.
Yeah.
And that's what people don't seem to understand in the game anymore. It's all so black and white. You're either with him or you're against him when you can actually be both. It's like most issues in the game. Everyone takes this binary position on it. I just think he's been great with some things, but with this I think it's been madness to rush it in. And they brought it up in the Project Apollo meeting a week ago with 10 minutes to go in the meeting. And then a week later it's been brought in.
Everyone in the meeting was opposed to it.
Exactly.
I'm surprised more coaches.
Pushed Peter anyway.
It's crazy.
I'm surprised the discussion of the teams that haven't got any points, of starting the competition back up with 0 points, such as the change in the fabric of the game. Like we've spoken about that, we're back to one referee. It's a different game. So why are the teams keeping those points?
So that's part of the reason the change shouldn't have been made, because the comp had started. And it's fine. And we change rules mid-season all the time, right? We change the interpretation of rules.
Not one's that big,
but
though.
That's what I'm about to say. This is such a significant change. It's not like changing an interpretation around the ruck. This is changing the fabric of how the game's played.